Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube series on creating an Eleventy.js theme from a static HTML template found freely online. In this video, we're going to tackle creating the custom homepage template and moving all of our data from the homepage into either collections or into front matter in our markdown file. So as a reminder of what our homepage looks like, we do have this white space up here that we're going to have to tackle in our template. But we move directly into a rotating banner. Then moving on, we've got a little about section with an image, a headline, description, text, and button. A services section that we'll want to pull from our services collection. A set of brands that this template is going to pull from a brands collection that we still need to create. And a rotating set of testimonials that we're going to pull from the testimonials section. So with that, we're going to dive into the code and take a look at what we need to do to make a template out of this HTML page. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the code. And as you can see here, we have an index.html page, and we're going to move most of this content into a new template that we need to create in our layouts directory. So up here in our includes layouts, we're going to go ahead and create a new file. We're going to call this homepage.nunjucks. And then we want to create an extension like we've done before. We're going to have this extend our, if I spell that correctly, we're going to have it extend our base.nunjucks template. And then we're going to put all of that content that we currently have in our HTML page into our content block. So we're going to have a block, which is going to have a name of content. And then inside of that, we're just going to go copy and paste all that HTML from our main index page and paste it into our content block here. And again, this is just overriding that block in base.nunjucks with the content that's inside the block here. So let's save in both those files and see what we get. We'll need to also change out the layout in our front matter from base.nunjucks to be homepage. Actually, it'll be layouts/homepage.nunjucks. So let's go ahead and refresh the page, and we should see exactly what we had before. That's great. That's exactly what we want to see. And then we want to get rid of this, this white space up here, and that's coming from the page header from our other templates. So if we take a look at base.nunjucks, we'll see up here we have our header, and then it goes from the navigation into our container, which has that page header, which is right here, starting up here. So we're going to wrap this in a new block so that we can overwrite it on our home page. So we're going to go ahead and give some space. We're going to do another one of those block tags, and we're going to call this one page header. And we're just going to paste all of our page header into this block right here. I'm going to go ahead and format this up a little bit. There we go. Make it all a little cleaner. And now we're going to come back in. We're going to double check that our page is still looking good. It's exactly what we expect it to look like. And then we're going to override block page header on our index, on our homepage.nunjucks template. So we'll come up to the very, very top. And then outside of our block content, we're going to create a new block, which is the block page header. And it's going to be a completely empty block, and it's going to overwrite the content in our base.nunjucks with no content from our homepage.nunjucks. So we come back over, and now you can see at the very, very top of the page, we have no white space above our banner. It moves directly from navigation into banner. So now that we have the basis of our template set up, we need to go ahead and move a lot of our editable data into front matter so that we can move it into our CMS later on. And it's also, even if you didn't end up integrating with a CMS of some sort, it's going to make your life easier to have all this content outside the HTML and just be worrying about the content itself in front matter. It's a lot easier. So the first thing we need to worry about is our banner area. So we have multiple banner items that can be created to allow for this rotating carousel up here. So we need to create an array of banners in our index page. So we're going to go back into the code. We're going to go to index.html, and inside of our front matter, we're going to create a banners array. We're going to have an indented dash here, and then each of the properties on this array are going to be included as just a key colon value pair. So if we look at our design, we can see we've got a background image, we've got a headline, a description, and then a link. So we've got a text link or a button style link that has text and a URL. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that's going to look like. We're going to first have a standard headline string. We'll say headline goes here for now. Then right underneath that, we've got a blurb, which is just going to be some lorem ipsum for now. We have our background image, which is going to be the string of the directory that our image lives in. So it's going to be /assets/image. I think we've got one called slide 1. We'll take a look and double check on that. Let's go to our assets directory. Inside of our images, we have, let's see, a slide1.jpg, which is exactly what we want to see here. So let's go ahead and keep on working. Then we have a link. That link has text and a URL. I'm going to make an object out of this instead of having two variables just at the head of our banner item. So we're going to say link : and then we're going to indent underneath that a variable called text, and this will say learn more, and then a variable called URL, and that will just be the URL that we want to direct this to. So we're going to save that in. I'm going to go ahead and create a second one of these inside the array just so we've got data to work with. And again, YAML and front matter are indent aware, so you need to keep your indentation consistent throughout. We'll save that in, and then we'll go back over to our homepage.nunjux, and instead of our hero slider here, we're going to have each of the single slides be part of a loop for our banners. So we're going to create a for loop, and we're going to say for banner in banners, because banners is our variable. And then inside here, we'll just display some content real fast so that we can have it on page. We should be able to say banner.headline, and we should get a banner headline above the rotators on our template. Let's move it out of our hero slider for now, just so we can take a look. There we go. So there it is. There's the headline for both of those, because it is a loop at that point. It's looping through both items inside of it. So let's go ahead and work through creating a single slide for each of these. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this up here. And I'm going to bring the entirety of one single slide inside of it. So we're going to go ahead and grab that. And I'm going to paste it inside of our for loop. And then, ooh, that's some major indentation. I love Bootstrap. All right. There we go. And so we're going to replace each of these editable fields with the variable that coincides with it in our banner. So our URL and our background image here is going to go to be banner dot, let me go back over to index. Let's go ahead and make this a split screen so we can take a look at both at the same time. We have banner dot background. And then inside of this banner, we have our H2, which is going to be our banner headline. So let's go ahead and delete that and replace it. Banner.headline. Our description goes here, so let's delete all of this. And we'll call this banner.blurb. Description would have probably been a better one, but I'm not going back and changing it now. And then inside of our slide button, we have the anchor tag and we have the actual text. I'm going to delete the button 2 for now. You could go back and you could have multiple links. You could make that an array instead. I don't really like having 2 anchors in one banner. I think 2 calls to action is a little bit weird inside of that. So we're going to delete that for now. So inside of our href, we're going to have our banner.link.url. And then instead of learn more, we'll have this be our banner.link.text. We'll save that in, and then we're going to bring this entire for loop, which, where's the end of our for loop? There it is. Delete that out. We're going to bring this entire thing inside of our hero slider div here, and that's going to allow for the JavaScript that we need for the hero slider to take over. I missed grabbing the beginning of my for loop there. There we go. Copy that, paste it in here. Let's deal with our indentation a little bit here, keep things nice and tidy. Get all these inside of our for loop. There we go, that looks pretty good. So we'll save this in, and now we should have 2 sliders slider items inside of the current HTML version, and then there should be 2 HTML versions directly after that. So let's take a look. So we've got headline goes here, we've got another headline goes here, and then we've got the additional items down below. So we're going to go ahead and delete those static HTML versions. We don't need those anymore. And now we have converted our banner area into an array of front matter that takes a whole bunch of these variables and puts them out onto the page using the markup that we got from our static HTML template. So now that we've created our banner and it is now rotating with multiple banners in place, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next stripe of our homepage, which is going to be a little about section. So in this section, we've got a foreground image, we've got a little bit of title text, a description set, and another link. So let's go ahead and move into the code and take a look at what we can do to move this into Markdown. So we're going to go ahead and expand our Markdown file back out, or I'm sorry, our HTML file with front matter back out, and we're going to set up a new set of variables inside of our about key. So we're going to set up another object. In this case, it's going to be an object inside of an array, and we're going to call this about. And then inside of that, we're going to have a tabbed in set of variables. So we're going to have our about section have a title, which is just, we'll go ahead and grab that from the page itself, copy that in, make it a string, and then we're going to have a description, and we'll also make that a string as well. Let's grab that first paragraph for now, paste that in. Then we're going to set up an image. Again, this is the foreground image. It's going to be the same as our background images above. We're just going to have a URL that will be accessible by our project. So in this case, it's assets/image, and there's one called about.png. And then just like we had for each of our banners, there's a link object that will have a URL variable, have this go to /about again, and a text variable as well. So we'll go to more about. So now we need to convert over our about sections HTML to be, instead of a for loop, this will just be calling the individual variables of this in our inside of our HTML elements. So we'll go ahead and change our h3 to take about.title. We'll have our paragraph text here. Instead of being inside of 2 p tags, we're going to have it be just our about.description. And then our link will again have a about.link.url as well as an about.link.text. Save that in. It'll automatically refresh over here. And there we have it. We have the title, which is the same now. We've got a simple set of paragraphs here, a link, and then we also need to replace our image with our banner, or with our about image. So down here in the about image area, we're just going to change out this URL to be our about.image. And you could also set up your alt tag here. We could set up an image object, but we're just going to have this be our about title again. Save that in, and now our image will also be pulling from that same spot as well. And just to prove that, we'll change it out to be one of our banner images in the text over here instead of the proper one. So instead of about.png, we're going to have it be slide1.jpg. Save that in, and now you can see it's a different one. So all we have to do is change out those strings, and we get different images in there. So this will be about.png again. All right, so now that we're done with the about section, we're going to move on to the services section. Now the services section has 2 components. It has our title and description of the section itself, and then it also pulls in each of the services in our services collection with the icon, the title, and the description, much like we did on the services page. So let's go ahead and start by creating new variables in our Markdown for the services title and services description. So we'll have a services object. Inside that we'll have our title, which is our services, and we'll have our description, which is some lorem ipsum for now. And then we'll replace those two items in our HTML, and we'll worry about pulling our collection next. So instead of our service here, we're going to have services.title. And then instead of this paragraph of text here, we're going to pull in the services.description. Go ahead and take a look at the home page. There's our services, there's the description. And now we're going to take a look at our services.nunjux file and grab the collection loop that we've got here. And it should correspond roughly with what we have on the home page in terms of HTML as well. So if we look here, we've got column middle 4, single service 2. And if we look over on our services.nunjuck, we've got something very, very similar here, except for with a large and a medium version. So let's go ahead and just grab this loop, and we're going to paste it in here for each of these columns. And at the end of that column, we're going to end our loop, N4. And then we're going to call, much like we did on our services page, the FA icon, the data title, and all of that. So let's go ahead and grab this icon, and we'll do the rest by typing. So we'll grab, instead of FA film here, it's going to be FA icon. This will be our service.data.title and our service data description. Service data description. Save that in, and now we have video making, photography, music composing, and then the 2 HTML additional pieces there. So we'll go ahead and go in and delete the static HTML from inside our container. Save that in, and now we just have our 3 services listed. Now I'm going to skip over the brand section that we have here, and we're going to move directly into the client reviews because we're going to do something very, very similar here. So we're going to go down past our brands into testimonials, and we're going to create our testimonial title and our testimonial description here in our index.html front matter. So much like services, we're going to have an object that is called testimonials. Inside that, we're going to have a title from our clients, and we're going to have a description. Go ahead and keep the indentation the same like we have it above. And then in our homepage.nunjux template, we'll do the same thing. We'll replace these with testimonials.title and this paragraph of text with testimonial.description. Save that in, take a look, and now from our clients and that lorem ipsum below. And then we'll go ahead and grab our collection again for our testimonials. Take a look at that real fast. So we've got this for testimonial in collection.testimonials. Bring this over so we can take a look at it as we work through it. And then we've got this slider here. So what we need is each of these single slides again to be an item in our loop. So we'll have for testimonial in testimonials. And then at the end of single slide, we will end our loop. And then inside of it, we'll pull the data from our testimonials. So this paragraph, which is the actual quote itself, becomes testimonial.data.quote. The image becomes another variable, which will be testimonial.data.headshot. And then we've got our data.name and data.job title down here. So this will be testimonial.data.name and testimonial.data.job title. Save that in. And we now have those new ones pulled in here, as well as the static HTML, and we'll remove the static HTML from here as well. Now, one of the issues with this theme that we've got is that the rotators automatically come in and have multiple items, even if there's only one item. So that'd be something you want to go in and either create enough content for or fix the JavaScript of this template to deal with. But again, outside the scope of this video series. So here we've got John Doe 2 and 3, and they are ready to go for our testimonials. So now for the brands up here, we need to go ahead and create a new collection. You could set this up as data on the page, but you might also want to use these brands somewhere else, maybe if you're editing this theme later on. So we're going to create a collection out of it, and we're going to do similar things to what we did for our services and for our testimonials. And in our source directory, we're going to add a new folder. We're going to call this brands. Inside of brands, we're going to have a file called brands.json. Inside that, we're going to have a simple object that's going to have a tags key, and we're going to have this say brands, and that's the tag that's going to be applied to it. So when we call collections.brands, we get everything that has this tag. And then we can go ahead and create our first brand file. So we'll call this brand1.markdown. It'll have some simple front matter here. We'll give the brand a name. This will be brand number 1. And we'll give it a URL because theoretically we want to link out to something for this brand. And that will be a simple string that is just, we'll take it to codecontemporary.com, which is my brand's website. And we'll put this in quotation marks as well. So now we have one brand in our brands collection. So we should be able to go ahead and go back to our home page and call out, oh, we do have to have an image for each of these too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we got this image asset here as well. So let's go into brand number 1 markdown, and we'll have an image here. And we'll bring that, I bet we've got one. Yep, brand 1, brand 2, brand 3. So we'll call that /assets/image /brand1.png. Save that in, go back to our home page template. And now we're going to pull in a loop of this collection as well. And so inside of our row, we're going to have for brand in collections.brands. And 4. And then inside this, we're going to bring the HTML from our HTML template for each of these. And we're going to indent that in properly. And then each of these single brands will have that URL. So we'll have brand.data.url and the image. So this will be brand.data.image. And the alt text will be the name of the brand. So this will be brand.data.name. So now, as you can see, we have 4 items in here, one of which goes to codecontemporary.com with a different URL here. And the hover, the alt tag should actually be now our, alt equals brand number 1. So that's pulling in the title now. So now we can go back into our code and delete the rest of these. And as we create new brands, more brands will fill in on the home page. So now we're down to 1. So we can very easily go in and we could create another brand in our brands folder. Call this brand2.markdown. And inside that, we'll give it a name. This is brand 2. We'll give it a URL. We'll say this is http brianlrobinson.com, my personal blog, and then we'll go to an image, and we'll have that be /assets/image /brand2.jpg PNG. Save that in. We now have 2 down here, one of which goes to Brian L. Robinson, one goes to Code Contemporary. So now we have all the data for the homepage collected either inside of our front matter or inside of a collection where it lives globally for the entire site. In the next video, we'll tackle creating our custom contact form template. We'll deploy it to Netlify, and we'll allow for form collection in Netlify forms. And before you move on to the next video, be sure to like and subscribe down below so you're notified of all my new content as it comes out.